Hello and welcome back to Xavier Newswire Live, the radio show that will catch you up on all of the Xavier news from Ledgewood Drive to Dana Avenue and beyond. Today is February 20th, 2023, and we are bringing this show to you live. I'm Kayla Ross.
And I'm Julia Lankisch. On this episode, you'll get to hear the Newswire multimedia crew bring you the rundown on the Xavier Alternative Breaks opportunities, sports, upcoming events downtown, what's happening on campus, and much, much more. Let's get started. Tonight, we are going to talk to Brianna about alternative breaks.
Thanks, Kayla and Julia. It's that time of the semester. Alternative Breaks is back with several new trips for spring break. Alternative Breaks, for those who don't know, immerses individuals in education, service, and reflection of various social justice issues facing the world today. Their vision is a worldwide community of active citizens living in solidarity, maintaining dignity and justice in their daily lives. This is the 21st year that AB has been offered at Xavier, and the program has grown to accommodate 22 trips over the course of the year, and would not be possible without the student-led board. Site coordinators research issues, interview, select, and pair site leaders while planning their trips. To participate in an AB trip, you must apply through EngageXU as either a site leader or participant. Site leaders help lead the trips and organize preparation and reflection work for the group before and after the trip, respectively, while participants are responsible for learning about the community and issue they are in service with. All applications will be reviewed by the board. There are 3 categories of AB trips: driving, short-distance flying, and long-distance flying. There are costs for each trip, which vary based on the category you apply for. Near Cincinnati, there are 8 AB trip offerings covering a variety of social justice issues, including, but not limited to, prison injustice, the effects of coal mining in Appalachia, differing abilities, forest diversity, the legacy of the civil rights movement, animal rights and welfare, refugee resettlement, and the intersection of the LGBTQ plus community, and the homeless. However, if you'd rather take a short flight, there are 3 AB trips covering Native American history, culture and reservation living conditions, immigration, and native ecosystem conservation. For individuals that want to fly farther, AB offers a trip exploring the realities of post-war communities. Sam Skelly, a junior philosophy, politics, and the public and criminal justice double major and site leader for the spring 2023 Roots of Our Nation trip to Pine Ridge, South Dakota, reflected on his alternative breaks experience, citing the community you build as one of his favorite parts. My favorite part of alternative breaks is the community that you build with other participants on the trip, both in meetings before and also during your trip, Skelly said. However, alternative breaks is different than study abroad opportunities. Although you don't get credit for alternative break trips, there is still a value to them. I think that all students should do an alternative break trip before they graduate. It provides an excellent opportunity to learn about a community different from yours while also engaging in meaningful service with them, Skelly noted. Combining the elements of education, service, and reflection, Alternative Breaks provides a way to spend your break in an impactful and significant way. If you are interested and can, I suggest applying for an alternative break trip next year. Back to you, Julia.
Thank you so much, Brianna. I've actually gone on a couple alternative break trips, and I had a great time every time. I got to go to Catalina Island, which was pretty cool, and I was doing invasive species removal and stuff like that. It was awesome, and I have friends to this day from that trip. And now we'll hear from John, who's going to give us our sports update.
Thank you, Julia. It's been a busy week of sports at Xavier, with winter sports in full swing and spring sports starting up. We'll start today, though, with Xavier's men's basketball team. The Musketeers played 2 games last week with a short-handed bench without freshmen Desmond Claude and Cameron Kraft and senior Zach Freemantle. Xavier went to Marquette on Wednesday, where the Musketeers led for the whole first half, where the 11th-ranked Golden Knights were able to come back and win the game in the last seconds, 69-68, giving Xavier its second loss in a row. The Musketeers then returned home on Saturday, though, to face DePaul, where they were able to get a commanding win, 82-68. Xavier, now with the win, stays number 16th in the country in the top 25 AP poll, which was released today. Xavier's now 20-7 on the year and 12-4 in conference play. Xavier returns in action tomorrow night at home at 6:30 against Villanova, and Seton Hall on Friday on the road at 7 p.m. Now over to women's basketball. Xavier lost at Seton Hall on Saturday, 72-59 in their only game in the past week. Xavier, with the loss, has 3 games left on the year, at Butler tomorrow and at home on Saturday on Senior Day when they'll take on Marquette at 2 o'clock. 5 seniors on the Xavier team will be honored before that action, so it should be exciting times in the Centos Center this week. Over to spring sports now, baseball. Xavier started the year on the road at Oregon. The 20th ranked Ducks were able to sweep the Musketeers in 4 games. Xavier returns back to action on the road down in Louisville on Wednesday at 3 o'clock and has a 3-game set this upcoming weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Western Carolina. Now over to wrap up spring sports. Xavier's women's lacrosse team had their first ever inaugural match yesterday at Detroit Mercy. They were able to have a big crowd there for the action at Concorian Field, but lost that game 11-10. Xavier's now 0-2 on the year and will have 2 games this week at Radfield at 1 o'clock on Friday and on the road at Longwood University on Sunday at noon. So best of luck going to all teams. Also, keep a note, the Xavier women's lacrosse team's in the Big East tournament this week. So best of luck to them, and hopefully the Musketeers can rebound and get the win tomorrow. Back to you all, Kayla and Julia.
All right, thank you, John. Yeah, men's basketball is looking good. CBB on Fox is saying we're 16 out of the 68 going to the tournament. Just came off a big win off of DePaul. So yeah, hopefully we're going good. Women's lacrosse just started the season on Saturday. It was a beautiful day. Heard it was a great turnout. But apparently Xavier's very own Peach Bowl girl, Catherine Gerd, is out for the season. She's done. Broke her foot or ankle or something.
Oh no.
So
Yikes.
hope she's feeling better and hope the lacrosse has a great start to the season. And now I will pass it on to Layton with this week's Downtown Lowdown.
Welcome to the Downtown Lowdown. I'm your host, Layton Gamage, and here's everything that's happening in Cincinnati. Do you have $15 and a need for adventure? It's a scavenger hunt. Is an all-age inclusive adventure and activity that is going on right now in the town of Cincinnati. All you need is a cell phone, data, and a group of friends. Go to itsascavengerhunt.com for more information. Maybe this will help you find your willpower to push on after your failing midterms. As many of you know, I love improv, and it's my honor to announce that the Second City Improv Troupe will be coming to Cincinnati this Wednesday for their show, Swipe Right. Tickets are anywhere between $25 and $50, so if you want to blow some money and see some funny people do some funny things, then come on down to the Memo this Wednesday. To keep the theater theme going, Clue on stage is happening from February 24th to March 5th. Check out itcplays.com for more information. Thank you so much for listening to this edition of the Downtown Lowdown Hoedown. Back to you, Julia and Kayla.
Thank you so much, Layton. I'm glad to hear there's a lot going on this week, as per the usual. And now we'll hand it over to Dylan and Grace, who have this week's Radio Rex.
All right, and it's Dylan, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Paramore album, This Is Why. This is the latest release from the Tennessee alt-rock and pop-punk veterans who have recently undergone a sort of metamorphosis. While core members Haley Williams and Zach Farrow have respectively focused on solo or side projects, Paramore has boldly evolved with multiple lineup changes, taking a great risk of completely alienating their longtime fans. On 2017's After Laughter, they tastefully toyed with shades of new wave synthpop and alternative dance, successfully beating the waves of 80s revivalism in the mainstream. Now, with This Is Why, they're shaking things up again with the more aggressive, moody vibes of indie rock along with some dance punk in the mix too. And This Is Why is a catchy and tight 10-track, 36-minute listen, and I believe it to be one of the strongest records in Paramore's discography so far. It lacks in length and shimmer, but it makes up for it in rawness and blunt force consistency. For example, the opening track is a perfectly crafted piece of pop-friendly post and dance punk, possibly one of the best tension releases you'll hear in any rock song this year. The lyrics express fear and anxiety around the outside world's opinion and tribalism. The following track, The News, goes hand in hand with this by also conveying frustration and heightened anxiety with the state of the world outside and overexposure to the horrors of the world through a vulturistic news media. Simultaneously, Haley, the lead singer, screams on the track about feeling helpless and useless in the midst of all these terrible things while behind a computer. The track portrays the struggle between falling apart or feeling ignorant towards a terrible thing happening in the world, but simultaneously thinking of the trade-off that comes with being informed by the news that it normalizes. And the song at the end makes a pretty simple recommendation about this, to simply turn off the news if you don't like it. So This Is Why is an album that addresses social stressors and vents about them, and it's definitely worth a listen. Overall, I'd give this album an 8, as I really enjoyed my listening experience. And if you want to listen as well, it's on all streaming services. And now I'll be passing it to Grace.
Thank you, Dylan. Hey, what's up? This is Grace with my movie review. Romance isn't dead. Not yet, at least. Not if Reese Witherspoon and Ashton Kutcher have anything to do with it. The two work together in Your Place or Mine, a Netflix original film about old friends switching homes for a week and learning more about each other along the way. Your Place or Mine calls back to the old days of rom-coms, early 2000s cheesy films not made for awards but just for entertainment. Sweet Home Alabama, 10 Things I Hate About You, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. We all know and love these films because they told the stories we all wanted to hear. Guy meets girl, guy and girl fall in love, guy and girl lose each other but they find their way back. Happy endings for everyone except the singular villain who gets his comeuppance in the end. We all know the story and we love it. Your Place or Mine tells that story again. It's not groundbreaking or particularly well written, but it's reliable and it's familiar. That's all we want out of rom-coms anyway. The story is about Debbie, played by Witherspoon, and Peter, played by Kutcher, two friends who hooked up once after bonding over a love of books and become lifelong friends. When Debbie needs to go to New York to complete an accounting program, Peter offers a home swap. Debbie will stay in his apartment in New York while he stays at her house in LA and watches her son, Jack. Hijinks ensue. Jesse Williams' handsome face makes a handsome supporting appearance. For an easy-to-watch, easy-to-love movie, this is your pick. Kutcher and Witherspoon have that sort of lighthearted chemistry that makes it impossible not to root for them. There are slight plot holes and missteps, like the lack of explanation around Debbie's ex-husband, or Steve Zahn's character Zen, who is just kind of there. Peter is also a recovering alcoholic, but we don't receive a lot of background for that, which is fine, but it's also strange to include the plotline with no obvious rhyme or reason. The biggest setback of the movie would be the time the two characters spend apart, which is, unfortunately, almost the entire movie. There are phone calls and FaceTimes, but no flashbacks to their friendship over the years. No time spent face-to-face to actually enjoy the chemistry between Kutcher and Witherspoon. A big part of the plot is that Debbie and Peter have this time to realize their feelings for one another. But if you really think about it, exactly what about staying at someone's house makes them suddenly irresistible to you? Maybe I'm just old-fashioned and I need to see two people in a room together to believe the love story. I don't think that's too much to ask. Regardless, Kutcher and Witherspoon return to their rom-com roots here, and I could not be happier about it. If cheesy rom-coms about two people who just need to get over themselves and make out already melt your heart, this one's for you. Who doesn't love a happy ending? Except for Jesse Williams. Justice for Theo. Back to you, Julia and Kayla.
Thank you so much, Dylan and Grace. I actually decided not to watch Your Place or Mine after I saw Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon on the red carpet. Even Mila Kunis was making fun of them for having zero chemistry, so I can't imagine the movie was great.
I read a Vogue article giving 43 reasons why it was atrocious, but that makes me want to watch it more because I miss atrocious rom-coms of the early 2000s. And I love Reese Witherspoon. I met her nieces once. But with that, we will pass it on over to Patrick with this week's Campus Catch-Up.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Patrick Hayes, and it's time for all of you on campus to get caught up. Our first activity of the week, tomorrow, Tuesday the 21st, we have the Sprinkle of Joys meeting held by Raising Joy from 1 to 2 p.m. in Gallagher. Come enjoy socializing with friends and eating some donuts. It's an event you surely do not want to miss. If you're Catholic or you just want to celebrate the start of the Lenten season, head on over to Bellarmine at the 8 a.m., 12 p.m., 5 p.m., or 7 p.m. Mass to celebrate Ash Wednesday. I'd be cross if you had to miss out on such a spiritual event. Maybe you want to do something a bit more artistic this week, and if so, ESA has you covered with their painting and mocktails event from 3 to 4 p.m. Enjoy a fruity drink and a relaxing paint session. It would be a pain to miss out on such a fun time. And last but of course not least, SAC is throwing their big Out of This World Bash in Gallagher this Friday from 9 p.m. to midnight. There'll be tarot card readers, free food, games, prizes, and much more. The night is sure to be of cosmic proportions. That's all for now, Xavier. I've been Patrick Hayes, and now you're all caught up with everything on campus. And I'm going to be sliding it right back to you, Kayla and Julia.
Listeners, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today in this episode of Newswire Live. Thank you for tuning into the show today. We would like to give a special thanks to Carolyn Youngquist, a music education alumni of Xavier, who produced the music heard in today's show. At this time, we'd like to give a shout out to our staff and guests who helped make this episode possible. Thanks to Faith Tickleby, Griffin Brammer, Brianna Dunn, Dylan McDonald, Grace Hamilton, Spencer DeTenley, Leighton Gamage, Patrick Kays, and John Baldridge for their contributions to this episode.
If you have any thoughts or feedback for the Newswire Multimedia crew, send them to our email, xaviernewswire@gmail.com. Find Newswire Live episodes and other content on YouTube when you search Xavier Newswire to find our channel. Follow our Spotify to hear archived Newswire Live episodes, our Stories That Inspire podcast, our Girl Boss Cubed podcast, and other student-led podcasts. Tune in to our next episode next Monday at 6 p.m. Until next week, I'm Julia Lankisch.
And I'm Kayla Ross, letting all of you know that Diet Coke is not a carcinogen. Talk to you next time.